Hi guys, Steve Dempster here from Dempster Guitar Studio, and I'm really excited to have you on board as I play out a number of videos for you exploring the whole topic of strumming. Now, I have to be very clear here. I'm dealing with strumming from the point of view of somebody who perhaps has been playing guitar for a little while. They're probably okay with chords and chord changes, the mechanical side, the technical side, if you will, of playing the instrument. If you're feeling that you're pretty okay with that, even though it's not ideal, and you're trying to figure out what strumming's all about, how you do this, when you do it, how you decide how it works, then this video series is specifically designed for you. But I'm just going to dig right in and get started. I have a little drum loop on my looper that I'd like you to listen to, and then I'm going to dig in with some questions. I'm going to yap a little bit because that's what I tend to do. I'll play along with my looper, and anyway, let's just dig into it and get the ball rolling with regards to strumming. So there's what, drummers pounding out a groove. So here's my question for you. If you were in the presence of that drummer, and they were playing this, he or she was playing this, and they said to you, hey, go ahead, grab some chords, and just play something to that. Most people that I work with anyway, let me bring that down for a sec. Most people that I work with anyway would freeze. They go, like, I have no clue what to do. Like, I play songs. I've been on the guitar maybe for 6 months or a couple of years already, and I can make some chords, and I've played a couple of tunes, and they sound pretty good. But all of a sudden, when somebody starts, I'm pointing to my amp here, when somebody starts to play a groove or a rhythm or whatever you want to call it, and then you're asked, out of the blue, to come up with something to sort of complement it, you freeze up. And my question is, and my interest is, in figuring out why this happens. You're a musician, after all. What you just did is chose, because you didn't know how to, participate in a conversation. That would be kind of sucky. I mean, assuming you can speak and you have a point of view, you'd want to participate in that discussion. So this is what we're doing in music. And yet time after time after time, students with a significant amount of playing experience can't do this. And there's a reason why they can't do it, and that's what we're going to explore in this video series. So I'm just going to sort of close my mouth for a moment and dig into my looper, and I'm going to just play something along with it. I'm just making it up, and I'm only using 3 chords. The chords don't matter, by the way. They're just what I'm using. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty cool. That can work. There's nothing wrong with what I did. It all made sense. And yet, if I gave you the 3 chords, put them on tablature for you, or gave you a printout of it, had them in front of you, a lot of people still have trouble just coming up with something to play. And again, I'm going to keep reiterating, there's a reason why that's happening. It's not really your fault. That might make you feel a bit better, but it's not really your fault. So I'm going to come back to the looper in a moment and build up on that idea a wee bit more. So again, the typical scenario is a bunch of musicians get together, doesn't matter what they play, somebody starts playing something, maybe it is the drummer, starts off with some kind of thing, and then starts to invite people to contribute to it. Your ability to do that depends on one particular skill. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now because I want you to think about this for a while for yourself. Here's a question. If you were thinking of yourself as a soon-to-be surgeon, you know, you're going to operate on people, I'll bet if I asked you what was one of the key courses you had to study in medical school that made you feel comfortable with surgery, I expect among perhaps a few other topics you might point to the study of anatomy. You might say, well, yeah, we had to really dig in to study anatomy, of course, if we're going to work on people. Excuse me. I need to know the structure of this thing so that I can be effective as a surgeon. What if you were an artist, a painter, you know, a visual artist? What topics would you point to that would have made you feel that you were more complete as an artist, as a painter? The ones that come to mind for me would be topics that dealt with composition or perhaps color theory, you know, how colors mix together and create emotion by the way you put them together. You may have been exposed to that in art school, and you would use that in your own art in order to make it as expressive as you possibly can. Yes, excuse me, I know that there are people who can do that sort of thing quite naturally. The surgeon example, I don't know many people who are natural at anatomy in the sense that they could just study it on their own and then become a surgeon. Right? And of course, it's unrealistic that a surgeon would become a surgeon if they didn't take anatomy. So, but what if even you were a football player, professional football player? If I asked you, what's the key thing that you had to go through to study in order for you to become good at football? My guess is, because I have a nephew who's sort of semi-professional, my guess would be, you know, aside from the physical training you'd have to do, you probably said something like, well, you know, I really made a big effort to memorize the playbook. That made me work really well on the field with my other teammates. We knew everything, no guesses, clean, very well done. These are important traits or skills or things that you have to study in order to be good at what you do. So let's bring this back into guitar world, and I'll ask you, how did you learn to play the guitar? How did you become a guitarist? In all likelihood, I would expect that inevitably you were presented with some chords, right? Somebody showed you how to make them, how to finger them, ultimately how to change them, hopefully in time, so that, you know, it sounds good. And maybe you learned a tune or two when you first started out and were shown how to strum it, how to play it. Nothing wrong with that process. It's something we have to go through for sure. But there's a limitation to this process. And the limitation becomes evident even after you've been playing for years. And it's just simply this. If you learned how to strum to a certain song a certain way because someone or something like a magazine or the internet or whatever it is showed you how to strum to this song, then you get good at that song. You saw it, you studied it, you did it, done. Next song comes along that you want to play, then what? Don't know how to play it. I don't know how to strum it, and the best I can do is to rely on the strum pattern, or maybe 1, 2, or 3 that I've built up over the years to help me get through it. It's too mechanical, don't you agree? It's good at the beginning of your study. You need to do this, but it is so mechanical that I call it the monkey see, monkey do approach to playing songs. You know, the only way you can play it is to have been shown. To me, that's like saying the only way you can read a piece of poetry at my wedding is for me to give it to you, and with all respect to people who can't read, and I know I've been involved in that myself with some students. Let's pretend that you can't actually read the poem that I've given you. So you need to have somebody read it to you so you can memorize it, so you can say it at my wedding. Something's missing. Obviously, it's the reading skill, right? It looks like you're okay reading it. You could hold it in front of you and look like you're reading it, but you're actually, you have it memorized. And, you know, it does happen. But with regard to music, you know, if that's what's going on, you're limiting yourself in what's possible here. You want to make sure that you can just play based on what you hear. After all, you're a musician. Musicians use their ears. It's a hearing art. It's an oral art. It's not just a mechanical this art. It's about this going to this and then coming out of your instrument. That's how I like to think about it anyway. So chances are, therefore, you learned how to play based on canned strum patterns. That's what I call them. They're just canned. You pick this one, you pick that one, you pick this one. You're not necessarily drawing on some other skills that would be very useful for you to do this. So, years go by, you're doing your thing, it's all kind of sounding good, and you still don't know how to sit with a bunch of musicians and just play. It's not a good situation to be in. It makes you feel like you don't really know how to play the instrument. You don't have anything to contribute, and we want to fix that, or I want to help you fix that at the very least. So let's go back to the surgeon example for a moment. If the anatomy were missing from the surgeon, not sturgeon, the surgeon's training, you know, you'd probably be thinking, that's not good. You know, I can't trust that surgeon. That person's going to take out the wrong kidney or something like that. I don't know. Less so of an issue with the artist example, because most people are not necessarily thinking, well, if the guy didn't study composition, he can't be an artist. That connection isn't as strong, I grant you that. But the point is that if you've had some training in composition or color theory, it certainly doesn't hurt you as a painter. It can certainly help you as a painter. And yes, some people never take it formally and are still very good intuitively at it. I get that. It's also true in guitar world, but it's true everywhere. So there's no point in using the excuse that, oh, there's just these naturally skilled people that can do this, this, this. It's everywhere. Doctors, shipbuilders, architects, you name it. They're all out there. And we're not talking to them. We're talking to you, or I am talking to you, about what you need to raise your bar and become a better guitar player. Okay, so I'm going to come back to my looper, and just let me get everything all set up here. Get rid of this, get rid of that. Okay, we're good to go. And I'm just going to play. And again, I'm playing whatever. I'm not thinking so much about it. I'm just letting it happen. And the question I have for you is, how does that happen? What is it that's going on in me that perhaps isn't going on inside you that allows you to do the same thing? And I know, deep down inside, you want to be able to do this. This activity makes you feel like more of a guitarist or a musician, as opposed to just always playing what somebody showed you, what the magazine said to do, what somebody on the internet said to do. Yes, I am on the internet, but I'm speaking to you specifically so that later down the road, as we go through this video series, hopefully we can interact a little more personally, and I can help to bring you to that skill level more effectively. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to record. us to start thinking about, okay, I'm going to add something to it. That sounds good. Here I go. I'm going to record that. I'm going to go ahead and add something else. Now I could go a bit further, and I could do this. Now that's just fun. I could spend all day just doing that. And the only reason that can happen is because while the drummer's doing their thing, whatever it is they're doing, there's one skill that's going on inside of me that allows me to do that. Do you know what it is? I guess I've sort of been hinting at it a wee bit. I'll tell you what. Do you notice that when I'm playing that I'm doing a lot of this? Do you think I'm just doing that because I'm having a good time sticking my face in a video? Well, partly, because it is fun. But there's a reason for this. And that thing is reflecting something that's going on here. And here's what it is. It's called rhythm awareness. That's the missing ingredient in your training. Somewhere along the line, or perhaps everywhere along the line of your training, there has been no discussion with you on how to think about rhythm as it applies to you strumming your guitar, because you have bypassed that by being shown a strum pattern for this song or a new one, a new strum pattern for that song. You have not been left to your own brain, your own nervous system, your own training to decide for yourself how you're going to strum this thing. And just like the surgeon without an anatomical training, and in a way without, just like with the artist not having composition and color theory training, and a football player not being able to memorize the plays and not participating in the physical training of being a football player, when they eliminate that stuff from their training, they're not those things. You can't be a surgeon without anatomical knowledge. You can be an artist without formal study in composition and theory. I get that point, but you understand my comparison there. And chances are, for the football player, if you didn't memorize the play and you didn't come to the training sessions, you're not playing on the team anymore. So there are consequences for not doing certain trainings. There have been and are consequences for you for not having explored the wide, wonderful world of rhythm awareness. That's the thing that's missing to help you comfortably be able to play together with other people, or to play with a song that you're learning on YouTube or the radio or whatever. And you don't have to wait for somebody to show you how to do it. I can't tell you how good that feels to be able to do that. It feels good to be able to make music up essentially on the spot with your strumming. The key that's missing is rhythm awareness. And that's what I'm going to tackle in the second video of this series. I'm going to introduce you to 3 what I call basic strumming mechanisms that will allow you, I guarantee it, once you study this stuff, it will allow you to play strumming along to gamillions of tunes, but you do have to do the work. You're not buying a chocolate bar, as I say to my students. You're learning how to build the chocolate bar so that if you want one, you can just build one. You don't have to go and buy it all the time. You don't have to ask somebody, can I have that chocolate bar? Here's my, whatever, $2. You can build it because you want it. This is essential for your training. So if you want to bring your knowledge of strumming up to the next level, if you want to feel like your strumming has a more natural quality to it, the kind of quality that you hear the professional people doing, you're wondering, how do they do that? And all you say is, oh, they must be natural at it. It's not true. Some are natural. No, I've already said that. But you can do this too. You're just missing this key ingredient. So I'm looking forward to the next video with you. We go through 3 basic strumming mechanisms. I will introduce you to those. And in the meantime, if you like this video, you know what to do. Go ahead and push the like button and share it around if you think it would be useful for somebody else to listen to. I would very much appreciate that. And let's get together next time, and I'll see you in video number 2. Thanks for listening. Bye.